Welcome to the Tending Our Nets podcast, where we believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ. We encourage everyone to learn more, and we work to equip believers to share their faith with everyone they know.
All right, welcome to the Tending Our Nets podcast. My name is Joshua Sherman, and we talk about the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ, what God is doing through Jesus in the world today and in the world to come. So we've been talking about the bad news, essentially laying out what life is like right now. So we've been talking about the fact that the human condition involves living in a world where there's pain, there are natural disasters, we see, death around us. We see a lot of pain, and we see broken relationships. We see conflict. All of these things are things that, if we want to think about news being truly good, right? How can the good news be good news if it doesn't address the bad news, if it doesn't address these things? The good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ is that all of these things are being addressed by God. We see that in part with the coming of Jesus and then with his resurrection. And I think we can see that in a lot of ways every day as we see the healing that can be brought in relationships and in the world in different ways. But we also kind of live in what theologians refer to as the already and the not yet. So God reigns, and God is sovereign over the world and everything in it. But yet there are still things that are broken because he hasn't brought his kingdom in its fullness yet. That will happen when Jesus returns. And at that point, we will see the death of death, right? We will see the conquering, the reversal of all of these things that are broken, of all of these curses of sin, of death, of scarcity, mortality, all these things. So what else is good news, right? Big picture stuff. Creation was good when God created it. So part of the good news is to say that God didn't create things in a broken way. Creation was good. He created, he saw it was good. He created, he saw it was good. And then once everything else was created and God made mankind, he made man and woman, he said it was very good. And this kind of signaled the completion of his work of creation. Okay, good news. God didn't create the world broken. That's awesome. So that's a good start. That gives us hope that, if God didn't create the world broken, maybe he can fix it, right? And maybe fixing it will look a lot like it was back when it was very good. In creation, we also see mankind created to image God. We'll go into a little this more later, but think about how this gives men and women and children intrinsic value. That we were given a mission to represent God on earth. That's important. That gives us value, and that gives value to people, just for being people, because they were created to do that, right? So that's very important in our understanding of who people are and what kind of value they have. I want to compare this a little bit really briefly to the ancient Mesopotamian view of creation and people. So if you look in the Enuma Elish and you actually see, the stories that they have of creation, there are a few different kind of versions of things, but essentially people were created by one of the Babylonian gods, Mesopotamian gods, when the gods just kind of got tired of doing work. That was their kind of rationale for this. Well, they're tired of doing work, so I guess I'll make humans to be slaves to the gods. Wow, like you compare that and you think, okay, so that's what the Mesopotamians thought. That's how they saw things. And yet in the Hebrew Bible, you have people being made to represent God, right? That's a big difference. And that gets back to this good news that God did not create the world in a broken way. The brokenness that we see around us is not because God said, I'll do my best. Oh, I guess I can't do it very well. Or maybe I should just make a world that's broken. That'd be great. Like, that's my goal, right? No, God made the world and it was good. Another comparison we can see is with ancient Egyptian creation stories, and the way that they saw the world. In ancient Egypt, and this is really true across most of the ancient world, you saw that Pharaoh was made in the image of God, or actually was considered to be a god, and the normal people in the kingdom were not, right? And this is very common in the ancient world. The kings were seen as divine, and other people were not, right? And yet, that is not how we see things laid out in the Bible either. In the Bible, all of humanity is made to represent God on earth. That's not just reserved for kings. It's not just reserved for the powerful and the dominant, right? That is something that each of us can do, is supposed to do, is empowered to do through the Holy Spirit as we begin to live out the gospel in our lives. So what's part of the good news? God didn't create things in a broken way, right? Next week, we're going to be talking about more of the good news. And this is really looking at it and saying, okay, so if God didn't create things this way, is he going to leave them this way? And spoiler alert, of course, no, he's not, right? God is not going to leave things in this broken state. So we'll talk more about that next time. Again, thank you for tuning in, and please like, subscribe, give reviews, share with your friends. All those things help us to spread the word so we can help more effectively spread the gospel with everyone that we know. Thank you, and God bless.
You've been listening to the Tending Our Nets podcast. If you like what you hear, check us out at the Raven Creek Social Club and by searching for us on social media via Tending Our Nets.
Raise us up to bear